I started taking my fitness seriously about 5 years ago now, and I managed to take my body from looking like this to looking like this. And on this journey, I learned a lot of different things, but I also did so many mistakes that stopped me from making way faster progress. So I'm gonna compress 5 years of brutally honest fitness lessons and truths that I learned along the way. And notice that I said brutally honest. These might be things that you don't want to hear, but that you actually need to hear. Before we start, if you want to help grow a community of young men who work to become the best version of themselves, mentally and physically, then consider joining my Discord. It's the first link in the description. Point number 1. Nothing changes if nothing changes. For as long as I can remember, I was always struggling with my weight. I grew up as the shy and insecure kid in school who just played video games all day and ate bad foods. I wanted to change my body so badly that I was literally daydreaming about what my life would look like afterwards. How I would get more attention from people because I was attractive, rather than being the fat gamer kid. I used to watch YouTube videos every single day on fitness transformations. How they went from being fat to looking like a superhero. I got so obsessed with watching them at one point that I literally started to feel jealous and just full of hatred towards them. In my mind, I thought that I deserved the body more than they actually did. However, the reality was that this was just another way for me to get quick dopamine. I watched these videos every single day, but I didn't take one single step to actually make a change. And this ended up just being a thing that was stroking my ego instead. I had the mindset that if I was watching, fitness transformation videos, rather than some quick dopamine from Mr. Beast or whatever, that things would just start to change by themselves. But that was far from the truth. It all starts with you. You have to change in order for your life to change. And you can keep telling yourself over and over, just like I did, oh, watching these fitness videos is better than watching Mr. Beast, right? But if you don't take any action, you're just stroking your own ego and literally prolonging your own success. This leads me on to point number 2. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time to start is today. Procrastination is something that we all struggle with, and I still do to this very day. But it was so much worse when I was younger. I told you earlier that I was literally daydreaming of what my life would look like once I got more attractive. I started watching more and more fitness content on YouTube. How to lose fat, how to gain muscle, what exercises to do, what foods to eat. All these different things. But in the end, I was still the same fat kid who played video games all day. I'd looked up so much information about fitness that when I decided to go to the gym myself, I was just anxious instead of excited. My brain was so full of information that I had no idea how to use it to my advantage. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and there was this quote that just stuck with me. Paralysis by analysis. And this completely summarized the situation that I had at the time. I learned all these things that were useful if you knew how to use them. But I was a beginner, right? The only thing that I should have done is just show up to the damn gym instead. If you were in the same situation just like I was, please stop researching everything and just get your ass in the gym. Get used to being in the environment and just learn the exercises slowly over time. You just getting a foot in the door is making so much more progress than, binge watching all these fitness videos over and over and over. Point number 3. It's better to be consistently good rather than inconsistently perfect. Once I started going to the gym myself, I was so eager to make progress. I wanted to optimize everything about it so I could make the fastest results possible. However, what I failed to realize was that I was a complete beginner, right? My body was not used to exercising whatsoever before this. So if I just put in the smallest effort, my body was completely exhausted. I had no patience at all, and instead of letting my body ease into it and, slowly adapt, I literally went balls to the wall. From 0 days exercising in a week, I started doing 5 days a week immediately. I started eating chicken and rice only every single day and the slamming protein shakes. This only lasted me 2 weeks and then my body was completely destroyed. I was literally sore every single day, and I took like no serious time to actually recover. So this ended up in me quitting instead. You know, I was looking in the mirror after those 2 weeks and my body was exactly looking the same like before. What I should have done instead is to ease myself into it. You can't just go from 0 to 100 and not expect yourself to burn out. That makes no sense whatsoever when you think about it. So the advice that I want you to take away, especially when it comes to fitness, you have to start slowly and focus on consistency over anything else. Like honestly, I was just lucky that I didn't injure myself. Imagine making a lifelong injury because you were too impatient to let your body find its way. That is a regret you would have to live with for the rest of your life. Point number 4. No one cares about you as much as you think. I mean this in the best way possible. One of the main reasons why I didn't start going to the gym earlier and actually improving myself was because I had the mindset that I was too fat to start. I was so worried because I was fat that people were just gonna be staring at me, and that would make me so uncomfortable. Like seriously, isn't that one of the most stupid things that you ever heard? Imagine thinking that you are too fat to go to the gym, a place where you literally go to improve your body for the better. That makes no sense whatsoever, but in my mind at the time, that made complete sense. It wasn't until I went to the gym with a friend of mine that this belief was completely removed from my head. You know, my first experience was completely the opposite of what I had imagined. You know, I thought to myself that as I walk in, people were just gonna be staring at me. But the truth was that nobody gave a single shit. Nobody even looked at me one single time. They were all just focused on their own things. Why should they care about me? The point I'm trying to make here is that you think that people pay attention to you so much more than they actually do. There is this psychological thing called the spotlight effect, where you think people are constantly paying attention to you. You know, they're watching your every move, but when it's just far from the truth. You know, every single one of us, we are in the center of our own universe. And in someone else's, we are just a bystander. Everyone is so focused on their own thing and their own imperfections that they don't have any time to worry about yours. Don't let those thoughts stop you from changing your life for the better, because here's the truth. No one actually gives a shit, so just do it for yourself and yourself only. Point number 5. The man who thinks he can and the man who thinks he can't, they are both usually right. Let me ask you a question. Why do you think so many people struggle to lose weight and, you know, actually be happy with their body nowadays? Because most of them lack self-belief that they can actually change for the better. And I don't want to turn this into some corny motivational video, but trust me when I say this. Self-belief is so damn important, especially when it comes to fitness. You know, I thought for a really long time that I was going to be this fat person for the rest of my life. And as a way for me to cope, I just played even more video games and ate even more junk food. It was a way for me to just feel better about myself, when in reality I just made things worse and worse. However, my turning point was when my dad sat me down because he saw that I was struggling and he told me this. I believe that you can change for the better, but none of that matters as long as you don't believe it yourself. And trust me when I say this, the power of self-belief should not be underestimated. I remember sitting on my bed and just thinking to myself over and over, I am gonna make a change and I don't care what it takes. You know, it comes to a point in your life where you're so tired of being the same person year after year after year that you just have to figure it out in one way or another. Change comes when the pain of staying the same is worse than the pain of change. I mentioned this quote so many times in my other videos, but I just had to say it again because it's so powerful. It was after this moment that things started to go in the right direction. And you know, when things got tough, I just kept reminding myself over and over inside of my head, I'm never going back to that old version of myself. No one is gonna come and do the work for me. If I want to have a better looking body and be more confident, I was gonna have to put in the work. The faster I could realize that, the faster I would make progress. So in summary, point number 1, nothing changes if nothing changes. Point number 2, the best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is today. Point number 3, it's better to be consistently good rather than to be inconsistently perfect. Point number 4, No one actually cares about you as much as you think. And finally, point number 5. The man who thinks he can and the man who thinks he can't, they are both usually right. These are the biggest lessons that I have learned so far, and I hope that you found some value in this. Again, if you want to help grow a community of young men who work to become the best version of themselves, mentally and physically, then join my Discord right now. It's the first link in the description, and thanks for watching.